Mike Vale. I'm the Deputy Sheriff Association President for Sonoma County Sheriff's Office. On behalf of Sheriff Steve Freitas, my Vice President Eric Gilhouse, and Barbara Trejo and her family, we appreciate you all coming today for this important day to remember Frank Trejo. Frank Trejo died here 22 years ago, and it's important that everybody that's here today and future generations understand what happened that day. It's part of our history, it's part of our culture, and we have to maintain that for everybody. At approximately 11:30 p.m., Deputy Trejo saw an occupied pickup in this very parking lot. The business was closed, so Frank knew something was out of place and decided to investigate. Following normal procedure to the letter, Frank radioed out his location, the vehicle information he was with, and let dispatch know what he was doing before he made contact. Unknown to Frank at that time, inside that vehicle was a recently paroled felon and a companion of his. This felon had an extensive criminal history and was a member of the Aryan Brotherhood criminal street gang. Also unknown to Frank was the fact that those two occupants were about to do an armed robbery at a neighboring business. Frank investigated the suspect, and while he did so, the parolee confronted Frank and shot and killed him. Dispatcher Debbie Little, who's here with us today and is now a deputy with our office, radioed out to Frank to check on his status, again following normal procedure. When Frank didn't respond to the radio call, he sent Deputy Joe Quinn, now retired from our office, to go check on Frank. Joe responded, located Frank alone in the parking lot, dead from a gunshot. Joe radioed out a code 30. For those people who are here today in law enforcement, that means send everybody in law enforcement here. We need your help and we need it now. In my career of 20 years, I've only heard 3 code 30s called. That's how significant this event was. Feeling the pressure from the law enforcement dragnet that soon became, 2 suspects that fled took refuge in a home nearby here, taking a family that lived there hostage. The sheriff's office learned of the hostage situation from a resident of that home who had escaped, and members from our office and the SWAT team set up a perimeter on the property. Within several hours, the suspects were taken into custody and no shots were fired. Frank's killer was convicted of first-degree murder and numerous other crimes and sentenced to death row plus 274 years. He now sits in San Quentin State Prison. His companion was convicted of 14 years for other charges as well. Deputy Trejo was awarded the posthumous Gold Medal of Honor by our office for the sacrifice that he made that day. A memorial service held for Frank at the Luther Burbank Center in Santa Rosa on April 3rd, 1995, resulted in the attendance of 2,400 civilians and law enforcement officers. There weren't enough seats in the facility, and nearly 1,400 officers stood and waited by Frank. Prior to working at Sonoma County Sheriff's Office, Frank worked for Lompoc PD and Tiburon PD. He made many close friends, many of whom are here today. Frank was a father, a grandfather, a peace officer, and a good friend. He was a community guardian and a peacekeeper. He was liked by everybody that knew him and respected by his peers. He was a master of resolving problems with his brains and his gift of gab. At the time of his death, Frank was 58 years old, and he was affectionately known as the Old Man. His calm demeanor, sense of duty, maturity, vast experience made him the perfect mentor for many of the younger deputies he worked with. Frank was a 35-year law enforcement veteran and has served with our office for 15 years. He is survived by his wife Barbara, their children, and numerous grandchildren. Frank's radio ID, George 47, has been retired and will never be used by a deputy at our office again. Since Frank's death, many people in local law enforcement community have come and gone. Everywhere we look, we see new faces, many of whom don't know Frank's story. As time goes by, the people who knew Frank retire and move away, and it becomes increasingly important for everyone to make sure his story lives on and not forget what happened here that night. Frank's death is another sobering reminder to all of us to do this job. It's a very dangerous job. Just as Frank was, you men and women who wear the uniform are a very unique people. You are members of a very small and elite group of individuals that have answered a calling to do a job that so few people are capable of doing. Equally unique are your families who, along with you, continue to make sacrifices for your community for this job that's become what you are. Frank and his family answered that very same calling and embraced it with their fullest. He had a reputation of being a great cop and a great person. He truly personified what everyone feels a great peace officer should be, and I'm honored and proud to wear the uniform he wore. Frank made his ultimate sacrifice that night for his community, and God only knows how many people Frank saved by his actions that night. Frank was a professional deputy. He followed procedure to the letter that night. He recognized suspicious activity and acted on it. He notified his dispatcher where he was and included valuable identifying information on the suspects and their vehicle that became crucial in solving the case. And even though it wasn't enough to save his life, by doing all of this, Frank himself started the very investigative trail that the detectives followed and eventually used to bring this criminal to justice. Now we must all do our part, continuing the good work that Frank has done. We all owe it to Frank and our fallen brothers who have fallen before him to grow from their experiences, for this is what they would want us to do. We truly are a thin blue line, the line between good and evil, and it remains unbreakable to this day. I want to thank the members of the community, the members of our office, and our allied agencies that are here today for keeping this memory of Frank alive. I want to thank Hendricks Chainsaw, Lunardi Electric, and the businesses that have occupied this facility in the past and in the future who continue to support our memorial behind us.
Honor guard. Attention. Reset. Huh. Order. Huh. Parade. Rest.
Folks, that concludes our ceremony for today. We have lunch being provided at our association hall. The location of the hall is listed on your program brochures, or you can ask any deputy that's here and he'll get you there, or she. We're also going to be back here tonight at 11:30, the time that Frank lost his life, for a moment of silence. So anyone that has the time and can be here for family, we would love to have you here. Also, please share that with your agency so you can have folks that are on duty come by. And it's really helpful to all of us to have a big showing up for Frank's family. That concludes our ceremony, and again, thank you for being here today.
Honor guard.